Hey, I'm really excited about this teaching this week from Mark, the 10th chapter, verses 46 through the 52nd verse about the blind Bartimaeus, something that we're all familiar with, but there are some really key truths and nuggets that I think we could really look at and actually add it to our lives. I'm often asked, why do you like the Gospel of Mark so much? Well, throughout Scripture, Mark is known as John Mark. John was his Jewish name and Mark was his Roman name, and he actually wrote primarily to the Romans. Yeah, this is also the same Mark, I bet you didn't know this, whose mother in the book of Acts, chapter 12, verse 12, held a prayer meeting in her home. Mark also accompanied Paul on many of his engagements and missionary journeys. Mark was also a learner, and he was a close friend of Peter, who was his mentor. And it is believed that Peter won Mark to the Lord. When you read the Gospel of Mark, you can see Peter's style and influence throughout the whole Gospel of Mark. Mark presents Jesus. One of the things I really can appreciate about reading the Gospel of Mark is that Mark presents Jesus as the servant. Mark talks about what Jesus did, meaning his ministry and the work that he did. You won't find any genealogy information about Jesus's family like it is in Matthew, nor will you see an account of Jesus's birth. In fact, can you believe that Mark says in chapter 1 what it takes Matthew 8 chapters to say? Mark also records 22 of Jesus's miracles in detail. So when you look at Mark, Mark is also an action gospel. Now that's big. I bet you didn't even know that. Mark is an action gospel. That's why we see key words when we read the Gospel of Mark, like straightway, immediately, forthwith, because Mark is telling us that Jesus was always out and about doing the work of his Father, doing the will of his Father. In fact, Jesus says in his own words, which is the central message in the 45th verse of the 10th chapter of Mark, where Jesus says, I came not to be ministered unto, but to minister to and to give my life a ransom for many. So that's why I like Mark.